Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. The people who would most benefit from the life-changing wealth that crypto has to offer are the first to sell off when things get scary. And new data shows this. It's very regrettable to see this because, look, I'm never gonna tell somebody what to do. I don't want to be a financial advisor. I'm definitely not. But still, just seeing how history has played out, knowing who has behaved in what way, and then seeing what ultimately unfolded, history is going to rhyme with itself again. I think that's going to happen. Yet here we have new data indicating who's selling, and at some point in the future, whether it's a year and a half, at some point when things bounce back, I'm going to try and remember to come back to this article. I'll certainly be talking about this topic because people are selling, the people that could most benefit. And you know who's not, as the data shows? I'll get into the specifics a little bit later in the video. Data shows that the people making more money, they seem to not care. How about that? They're willing to weather the storm. Now, some of them react, but they're a lot more likely to weather the storm. So it's understandable. I mean, if it's the case that these people are in hard economic times, got it, which is why I understand if you really need to. But if it's purely fear, my gosh, I suspect there's going to be tremendous regret. I also want to share with you some additional thoughts, piggybacking off of something that was being discussed in a video I put out yesterday. I shared perspective from Tom Lee, who is the guy who runs Fundstrat. He's really well known in the world of crypto, but also in traditional finance. He's on, I guess, CNBC all the time. And he's always sharing his opinions. He said something yesterday along the lines of, he actually thinks that the bottom's in. And by the way, to be clear, he was talking about the stock market. S&P 500 specifically, I think he cited. I'd have to go back to double check anyway. He wasn't talking about crypto, but, crypto follows stock. So talk about one, you're talking about the other two, basically, just in a general sense. But he was saying, look, the bottom's in, not going to go lower. But, and look, I don't pretend to know for sure. I said that yesterday too. But I wanted to share with you some ideas to the contrary as to why, from a couple individuals, as to why, you might see, to some degree, even if it's not completely disastrous from here, might see another leg down. When you're in crypto, it's just, I think it's best to take the attitude of never say never. Just expect the unexpected effectively. And also Michael Saylor, Bitcoin maximalist and CEO of MicroStrategy, is no longer the CEO of MicroStrategy. So going to be talking about that as well, because he's basically been trying to buy all the Bitcoin, and apparently it's not going so well for him. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this, XRP's at 36 cents, Bitcoin at $22,905, market cap a little less than 1.1 trillion, and Bitcoin dominance at 40.47%. And actually, the Crypto Fear and Greed Index had a small pop up to 34 out of 100. Yesterday it was at 31 out of 100. So market, yes, still in fear, but at least not extreme fear, right? That's good. I don't like those poor, lovable, cuddly little lemmings out there getting all emotional and feeling the sad. So when the number goes up, it makes Moon Lambo feel happy. Hey, look at this headline from Yahoo Finance. I can't say I'm surprised. I haven't seen any sort of internal insight in terms of like the discussions behind the scenes as far as what led to this, but I imagine it's not pretty. The headline from Yahoo Finance: Michael Saylor steps down as MicroStrategy CEO. Company takes $917 million charge on Bitcoin. Take a look at this. MicroStrategy announced on Tuesday its founder and CEO Michael Saylor will step down from the top job and take a new post as executive chairman, focused on the company's Bitcoin strategy. Fong Li, the company's president, will take over in the CEO role. MicroStrategy reported quarterly results that were light of Wall Street estimates on Tuesday, with revenue coming at $122.1 million against expectations of $126 million. Losses in the quarter totaled $918.1 million, with $917.8 million attributable to the company's Bitcoin holdings. So just pause to note there. You don't have to be a math wizard to figure this out. They would have lost a few $100,000, but because of Michael Saylor's Bitcoin investment, on paper, they're down that much, almost $1 billion. Right? Yikes. Yeah, so here's the thing about this. I am not gleeful about this because I think in terms of Michael Saylor's approach, he may very well be right that Bitcoin keeps rocketing off, and if you just truly have a long-term approach, maybe Bitcoin does hit 100,000, 200,000, $500,000, maybe $1 million per Bitcoin if you're talking way in the future. Maybe that actually happens. But the thing is, here in the now, he's the CEO of a publicly traded company making highly risky bets. So to him, it doesn't seem highly risky. To him, it seems highly risky not to have exposure. And I can respect that feeling because I've said many times that if I didn't have my exposure to XRP, that's when I'd have trouble sleeping at night. If somebody told me I'm not allowed to legally hold XRP anymore, I just can't have it. It's not for me. If that could magically somehow happen, I would be very upset. So I get the sentiment. Like, if you believe in something to that degree, yeah, I totally understand. He's got his rationale behind it. He's not all, he didn't just do this all on a whim. He didn't buy all this Bitcoin on a whim. No guarantee he's right. No, I'm not saying he's necessarily wrong if you fast forward out long enough. But when you're talking about these kind of losses over this short of a time period, I mean, highly volatile asset class, again, publicly traded companies, you've got shareholders that you are beholden to, there's fiduciary responsibility. Is it just a coincidence that he's now stepping down as CEO? I think my guess would be, given how bad this is, and it's just speculation, I admit, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the case that it's more like step down or you'll be removed. It's a publicly traded company, folks. I mean, history will look back upon this and just be like, oh my God. Regardless of what happens with Bitcoin, it's just like, if you just look in a vacuum and the known facts at this time, it's like, it is bonkers that this guy did what he did. because again, it's a publicly traded company. And so, love him or hate him, whatever you think about the guy, he is a maximalist also, so I think it's silly there. I think some of the stuff he gets right, some of the stuff he gets wrong. The maximalism stuff I cannot get behind. This nonsense he says about securities, this or that, I can't get behind that either. But man, still, people need to believe what they believe. I feel like he probably should have had a bit more restraint. If you want to hold some Bitcoin, okay, fine. He went Looney Tunes with it, put in billions of dollars. In fact, so check this out. This was from CoinDesk piece. They wrote, the company now owns approximately 130,000 Bitcoin worth roughly $3 billion. They were acquired for a total of about $4 billion. Just down a bill. No problem, right? No big old problem right there. And then the Yahoo piece continues as follows. It says, in a statement, MicroStrategy said Saylor will focus primarily on, quote, innovation and long-term corporate strategy while continuing to provide oversight of the company's Bitcoin acquisition strategy, end quote. So it's amazing that after all of this, and fine, I'm assuming certain things, I certainly acknowledge that. I'm just wondering. I'm not asserting that so-and-so is true. It's more like I'm wondering, after all this, they're still going to let him have his hands on the Bitcoin strategy. That's his thing, huh? Okay. You do you, girl. You do you. As executive chairman, I will be able to focus more on our Bitcoin acquisition strategy and related Bitcoin advocacy initiatives, while Fong will be empowered as CEO to manage overall corporate operations, Saylor said in a statement. Okay, well, we'll see how long you stick around at MicroStrategy. And he's the founder and was the CEO. He was the founder I think he's been around like 33 years. And you got to admire that. Like, as a small business owner myself, I haven't built anything near what he's built. This isn't, like, that's a whole different level. Publicly traded company, all that. So certainly very admirable, but at some point you got to recognize it's not just your baby anymore when you go public. That's all I'm saying, man. Then to the next topic here. This is TXMC, all up on the Twitters, and he used to be with Glassnode, which is a firm that does on-chain analytics. I'm a big fan. Sharp individuals over there at Glassnode, and TXMC, although no longer with them, certainly no exception. Very sharp guy. And so what he shares here, I want to share it with you. It kind of flies in the face of what Fundstrat's Tom Lee was saying, because again, just as a refresher, he was effectively saying that, look, we've got all sorts of bad news coming out and prices are going up. When that happens, that means the bottom is in. And effectively here, it seems to me the perspective is, well, maybe not all the baddest of the bad stuff has yet happened, and people won't, be all roses looking future in the future, pertaining to their outlook. And so TXMC wrote the following. This multi-week pump is essentially a group wager that inflation has been defeated and that the Fed will acknowledge reality perfectly in time to avoid a true recession, despite ample contrarian historical evidence. Many are eager to align with this outcome. I remain skeptical. I hear a lot of, the market is pricing in recession. It would be a first in history for this recession to be bullish in advance, for its confirmation to come without negative market effects, and for it all to be priced in today. That would be a new paradigm. So he's certainly not mincing words. He didn't cite Tom Lee at all, but I'm just comparing the two because it's interesting. It's just look, you know me, right? There's a reason that I was expressing some degree of skepticism yesterday, and while admitting I don't know. For me, it's just like, I know history rhymes with itself. It doesn't perfectly repeat always, right? But in a general sense, like if this is something as TXMC is stating would be a new paradigm, well, then shouldn't there be to some degree some additional leg down? Well, he seems to not be the only one that thinks so. And this might be so hard to tell because like some people that are all positive now, it's like, hopefully, and the ones that I follow, I don't think they're like this, but did you just jump on like the hopium bandwagon because right now for the short term things look good? Because there's no shortage of people that like whatever direction things are going, they're just going to say yes, that, and then they'll give their BS reason why they believe it. There's no shortage of that. These fake technical analysts on Twitter, these fake gurus. And so I've waded through the muck for several years, and just following the ones where none of them are always right, but just the ones that I think are the most intellectually honest and have a reasonable track record. And at this point, I'm just kind of wondering, maybe you do see another leg down, and the analysts I follow, they say, yeah, it's possible. But even if you do, it's not going to be like another 90% down from here in the world of crypto or something stupid like that. But take a look at this. This is a piece from Cointelegraph from, I think, yesterday. And they noted the following. Bank of America Securities head of U.S. equity and quantitative strategy, Savita Subramaniam, whose name I probably butchered, said in a recent note that the stock market usually bottoms after earnings estimates are revised lower, but that has not yet happened during the current downturn. So there you go. The Bank of America Securities head here of U.S. equity and quantitative strategy says, normally what happens is things get worse in terms of actual economic output. Firms report that. Markets go down further, then bottom. That has not yet happened. So is Tom Lee of Fundstrat right? Or is history going to rhyme with itself? Look, again, I don't pretend to know. If I'm a betting man, I wouldn't, at least for equities, if you're talking equities specifically, and I still think crypto in a general sense follows, but if equities go down to some sort of notable degree, well, yeah, then crypto would. If it's not huge, I don't even know what that might mean, but maybe it does. There's a lot of people saying that. We'll just have to see, because we'll eventually come back with perfect 2020 hindsight, and then we'll be like, oh yes, of course, yeah, that's, people love to do that. It's a lot of fun. But I think the honest truth is, maybe the most reasonable approach is the one that I'm taking, because it's intellectually honest, at least, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm leaning a little bit more towards something actually does come. Doesn't mean it's completely catastrophic, but I don't know, man. Flip a coin. Freaking flip a coin at this point. And then there's this, and this is where I kind of started my comments off with this video. I sincerely think those who sell XRP or Bitcoin or pick your cryptocurrency are going to have serious remorse. Now, some people, if you really need the money right now, that's one thing. Maybe you lost your job or this or that. But that's not really what's being factored in here necessarily. I think it's more like the bit of money that you have is much more precious to you if you're making less money, if your salary's smaller. And then if it's larger, maybe you even put in way more money into crypto than the person that has the smaller salary. Maybe you did, but you're less likely to sell because you have more of other investments and maybe more cash in the bank, whatever it may be. And so maybe you sleep a little bit easier. But it is unfortunate to see that the people that could most use the life-changing wealth that crypto provides are getting a little bit shaky because markets have been going down, and data shows us that that's the best time to buy. So to be clear, I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just sharing with you my open, honest thoughts because I find it fun to just kind of talk about this topic. That's it. But you got to make your own decisions. I don't know any of you that are hearing my beautiful Moon Lambo voice right now. So I would never assume to tell you what you should do in your life. I would never want that type of responsibility anyway. But everyone's individual circumstances are different. I'm just saying, if you drop these people in the buckets and make them nothing more than numbers, which sounds harsh, it's just people in various income groups you can see as they make more, they're less likely to fold. So you can come up with the reasons why, but again, I think it's what I said. It's some people are, if you have less, then everything you do have is that much more precious, right? I would think so. You may even have, like I said, even less in crypto. But the piece reads as follows: a new study shows that U.S. crypto investors falling in the lowest income bracket were the primary group of sellers during the market rout witnessed in recent weeks. The study conducted by consumer insights platform Civic Science reveals that 65% of U.S. digital asset investors earning $50,000 or less sold all or some of their crypto holdings over the last few weeks. According to the study, conducted last week, among adults, 39% of U.S. crypto investors earning $50,000 or less sold all or a lot of their digital assets, while 26% of U.S. crypto investors in the same income bracket sold some or a small number of their digital assets. In the $50,000 to $100,000 income bracket, 48% of U.S. digital asset investors sold all or some of their crypto holdings. U.S. crypto investors earning six-figure incomes were relatively less affected by the downturn in crypto prices, according to the same study. In the $100,000 to $150,000 income bracket, 34% of digital asset investors sold all or some of their crypto assets as prices collapsed. And here's a quote: "Unsurprisingly, those with higher income are more willing to weather the storm with their assets," end quote. 30% of U.S. crypto investors earning $150,000 or more sold all or some of their digital assets as the market tanked. So there's the chart on your screen for those of you that care to look at. If you look at that best bucket there in terms of most money, people making $150,000 or more, only 19% sold. They wrote the response would be yes, all, or a lot. But no, haven't sold any at all, 70%. 70% sold none. So, and here's the thing, and I'm just going to guess a little bit here. Given that I can understand like how that feels, especially if you're making less money. I'm willing to bet that it's mostly the emotional side and not that everybody exactly needed that right then and now, because we're not talking about a study where these are people are not, it's now a bunch of unemployed people. And if you look at the unemployment rate in the United States, I have no indication, there's no indication out there, period, from recent data to show that there's a massive quantity of people leaving. I just think that these people were more shaken by it because they have less. That would be my hunch. And it's just so bad to see it because, like I said, man, you could really get such a leg up. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, the human species has never had an opportunity like this. Nothing like this has ever existed. And it's been consistently providing life-changing wealth despite massive pullbacks in bear markets for 13 years, ever since the inception of of crypto, of Bitcoin starting out in 2009. Consistently. I mean, you can chart the damn thing. Big old pullbacks. And the biggest pullbacks now, they look big on a chart, but then you zoom out a decade from now, they're going to look like little blips. And that's what's shaking people out. And it's just so bad because of these people, if you could just manage the emotional side of this, I suspect that most of them, they'd be so happy with that decision in the future, but they just can't weather it now. And so I'm sympathetic. It's just difficult to see this data because they already have less, and now they're going to have even less than they otherwise would have in all likelihood. Doesn't mean they couldn't bungle it, but it just and the reason I'm saying that, just in a general sense, without getting to the specifics of any one individual, it's just the data shows just like crazy growth. And yeah, you get growth that's pretty reliable, consistently up, decade after decade after decade. It's just not as quickly life-changing. It accumulates slower. But you do see the same type of human behaviors in this. It's just more exacerbated. It's more volatile because there's less liquidity in the space. And so it doesn't take much money coming in or out to get those big swings. But that's why there's so much damn opportunity here. And that's why I keep saying, like, XRP, as low as it is now, and that's why I'm sticking with this. I made my bet. My bet was that either XRP goes to zero or at some point in the future, it's going to hit a new high. And I've been saying that ever since it hit its last all-time high, close to $4, once it was pretty damn clear that we were in a bear market and it may take a while to come back, which was certainly the case. I've been saying that. But even this is going to look like a flash in the pan. Oh my gosh, I had to hold XRP 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it ends up being, and just to get that crazy amount of return. Oh, okay, whatever. Like, but with each subsequent market cycle, the opportunity lessens to a notable degree because there's that much more money in the space then. So it doesn't mean that there won't be an insane amount of opportunity even half a decade from now. There likely will be an insane amount compared to any other asset class, but it's way more insane now than it will be in 5 years in terms of opportunity. Just like if you had gotten in, can you imagine if you're here like in 2015? Oh my God. Well, you'd be buying XRP at like half a penny. So there's that, maybe a little bit less. Sometimes what did it get down to, like 0.002 cents? I don't remember. I'd have to go double check. It doesn't matter. The point is practically free. I remember watching a how-to video on how to buy XRP before I got it, and I was looking at ways to do it. And there's this guy that was said, "Oh, it's XRP. It's going to be the next big thing." I wish I knew what channel this was if I could find this. Really poor audio quality. I remember that. But and this is, I think it was in 2015, and I was looking at it in 2017. I could be a little off, but whatever the price of XRP was, he got like, I want to say 30,000 XRP for like $189. So it's like, and just think like that back then, what if he's one of those people in the less than 50,000 a year buckets in terms of income? I mean, he could have easily gotten shaken out too. Who the hell knows? But now, geez, $189 today is worth somewhere in the neighborhood like 10 grand. You know what I mean? And it was worth way more than that. It's just that markets have pulled back. Obviously, XRP was worth almost $4 at one point. It was worth about $2 in April of last year. So it's what it is, man. I don't know. It's just kind of difficult to see this stuff. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm harping on it too much. It's kind of painful to see this, knowing what I know, and then just understanding that these people are just going through a tough time. Who knows what else could, other stressors they have in their lives, and then there's this on top of it. It's a shame, but we're all adults. We all got to make our own life choices. But I think XRP is going to be worth an absolute fortune in the future. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.